When you learn about Yacub, it don't say nothing about his parents. Nothing. The only family member that's even mentioned in relationship to Yacub is his uncle. And it doesn't even say whether or not that is his mother's brother or his mother's or his father's brother. So now you have dysfunction right here. And you have him at 6 years old. The importance of the number 6 in terms of his growth and development is in early childhood development. At that particular point in a child's growth and development, their brain is basically 95% developed. That's why when you see little 5 and 6 year olds walking around, they look disproportionate. Their head is a lot bigger than their body. That is because brain or cognitive development is basically at the point where you have 95% of that child's brain being constructed. So this 6-year window is where the brain architecture is being constructed. So as you go through these lessons, you're going to also learn that it was at this point in his growth and development process physiologically that his determined idea was recognized.
As scientists of life, one of the most important things that we study is our own childhood, because there were many different experiences we had growing up that form the basis of how we see things today. In fact, some of our experiences are the actual brain architecture of how we think. Take a moment and check this out.
Science tells us that the experiences we have in the first years of our lives actually affect the physical architecture of the developing brain. This means that brains aren't just born, they're also built over time based on our experiences. Just as a house needs a sturdy foundation to support the walls and roof, a brain needs a good base to support all future development. Positive interactions between young children and their caregivers literally build the architecture of the developing brain. Building a sturdy foundation in the earliest years provides a good base for a lifetime of good mental function and better overall health. So just how is a solid brain foundation built and maintained in a developing child? One way is through what brain experts call serve and return interactions. Imagine a tennis match between a caregiver and a child, but instead of hitting a ball back and forth across a net, various forms of communication pass between the two, from eye contact to touch, from singing to simple games like peekaboo. These interactions, repeated throughout a young person's developing years, are the bricks that build a healthy foundation for all future development. But another kind of childhood experience shapes brain development too, and that's stress. Good kinds of stress, like meeting new people or studying for a test, are healthy for development because they prepare kids to cope with future challenges. Another kind of stress, called toxic stress, is bad for brain development. If a child is exposed to serious ongoing hardships like abuse and neglect, and he has no other caregiver in his life to provide support, the basic structures of his developing brain may be damaged. Without a sturdy foundation to properly support future development, he is at risk for a lifetime of health problems, development issues, even addiction. It's possible to fix some of the damage of toxic stress later on, but it's easier, more effective, and less expensive to build solid brain architecture in the first place.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get involved in early childhood development, because I know that at that point, that is when you are directly and indirectly playing the role of being a brain architect. And it is at that point where they enter kindergarten. It's a garden. It's a garden. That's when you plant the seeds. And this is also when you begin to set a child on their cognitive trajectory, their social emotional trajectory. Going all the way back to the 1 to 36, where it talked about how they were made other than themselves, or we were made other than ourselves. And it also talks about being taught how to eat the wrong foods in early childhood as babies. So you have grown men as well as women who are fearful of things that was planted in them when they were at this age in their growth and development, right? So this lesson, the wisdom degree, identifies a critical point in Yacub's growth and development of him developing that actual idea of what he wanted to do when he got older. And again, it shows you that he doesn't have support. They don't tell you nothing about his parents, even in the traditions of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He don't tell you nothing about family. So here you have this child growing up under these circumstances outside of Mecca with ideas of wanting to be something greater than what they actually seen growing up in their environment.